This movie's story revolves around a young guy named Tantan. One day, out of nowhere, Tantan runs into a girl he hadn't seen in forever. Her name's Joni. Yeah, Joni. Kinda weird, right? That name's usually for guys. But in this movie, the girl's name is Joni. That unexpected meeting instantly brings back a flood of old memories. They both start remembering how they first met a few years ago. Turns out, that moment left quite an impression on both of them. A few years back, one night, Tantan came home from school soaking wet from the rain. He bumped into a girl who was also drenched. That girl was Joni, one of the new tenants in their rented house complex. But Joni quickly ran into her place. Unfortunately, while Joni was running, she dropped something. Tantan saw it and instinctively ran after her to return it. Joni took the item back with a blank face, not saying much. But the trouble didn't stop there. Joni had forgotten her house key. Luckily, since Tantan was the landlord's son, he had access and could help open the gate. So yeah, Tantan helped her get inside. That incident was the start of them getting to know each other better. The next day, Joni came back from outside and happened to pass by a group of neighborhood ladies hanging out. And that's when the real drama started. Those women started gossiping about Joni like crazy. They said she was no good, called her cheap, and said she didn't belong in their neighborhood. Around the same time, Tantan had just gotten back from school. As he passed by the rental house, he saw Joni standing there. He tried to give her a friendly smile, but it quickly faded when a random guy showed up and went into the house with her. After the gossiping ladies dispersed, curiosity got the best of Tantan. He snuck up to Joni's place and tried to peek through the window. What he saw through the glass totally shocked him. Joni was doing her side job, and it was pretty clear what kind of job it was to anyone watching. The next day, something similar happened. Joni got dropped off by another guy. The gossip squad instantly had fresh material. This time, their voices were louder and their comments were nastier. They called Joni flirty, shameless, and said she was unfit to live there. Right at that moment, Tantan came home from school and saw the whole scene. Even though he was still confused about what he saw the day before, he tried to defend Joni. He asked the women to stop talking badly about her. But they just laughed and told him he was too young to meddle in adult stuff. That night, after playing basketball with his friends, Tantan was walking home and passed by Joni's house again. He noticed a motorcycle parked in the yard. His curiosity kicked in again. He looked toward the house and saw Joni inside, with another man, doing the same thing as before. Tantan stood there for quite a while, and one of the guys leaving the house even noticed him. After that, Tantan worked up the courage to knock on Joni's door. At first, he was hesitant. His hands were even shaking. When the door opened, Joni was standing there, staring at him. In Tantan's mind, he imagined her pulling him inside and the two of them being alone, doing something exciting. But that was just in his head. His imagination was wild that night. In reality, Joni looked at him confused and asked, "Why are you here?" Tantan couldn't answer. He just froze, his face stiff and confused. Joni gave a small smile and said, "You better go home before your mom sees you here." The next morning, Tantan tried to find a way to get closer to Joni. He brought her food as a kind gesture. While they were chatting in front of the house, a high school girl named Helen walked by. Tantan's eyes instantly followed her, and Joni definitely noticed. Seeing that, Joni smiled and said softly, "You two would make a cute couple." Then casually added, "Someday, I'll teach you about love." That afternoon, Tantan was just chilling at a food stall with his best friend. Let's just call him Tejo. They were deep in conversation when Tantan suddenly spotted Helen walking toward the stall. Without thinking, he blurted out to Tejo that he had a crush on her. Turns out, Tejo already knew Helen. They were actually pretty close. And since a true friend always helps with love stuff, Tejo immediately came up with an idea to set them up. He went straight to Helen and told her that his buddy Tantan wanted to take her out on a date. Helen, with her sweet smile and chill vibe, agreed right away. She even mentioned that her house would be empty that night. Tantan's face turned red, somewhere between excited and totally nervous. Later that night before the date, Tantan stopped by Joni's house to ask for some advice. He wanted to know how to make his first date go well. Joni, being more experienced, gave him some solid tips. Dress neatly, make sure your breath doesn't stink, and don't forget forget to bring flowers. Tantan got ready in his best outfit and brought whatever flowers he could get. But when he got to Helen's place, he froze. There was a car parked outside and it was shaking. As he got closer, he was shocked to see Tejo and Helen inside, alone together. That moment broke Tantan's heart. The next night, Tantan finally confronted Tejo to let out his disappointment. But Tejo acted super chill about it. He said it was actually Helen who made the first move on him. And it didn't stop there. When Joni showed up, Tejo flipped the script and accused Tantan of dating a cheap woman like Joni. Hearing that, Joni's face turned serious. But she responded calmly, though her words stung. She said Helen had once vented to her about Tejo, and apparently Tejo's size is like a peanut, and on top of that, it doesn't even work. The next day, Tantan saw Joni again and offered to take her out for a walk. Joni agreed and said she wanted to go to the city park. Tantan went along without asking too many questions. When they got to the park, they chatted casually while enjoying the afternoon breeze. Joni started talking about her plans to move to Japan soon. Tantan listened quietly, though something in his chest felt strange. He looked at Joni and imagined himself as a bird, flying freely wherever he wanted, just like her. But the truth was, he was just a regular high school kid with a limited life and not enough courage to chase something that far. That night, Tantan was sitting alone, casually playing his guitar. From a distance, he saw Joni walking her client out. Her side job was done for the day. Once the client left, Joni walked over to Tantan. In a soft voice, she told him he was a good guy. She said that whoever wins Tantan's heart is a lucky woman. But Tantan said no girl could ever like him. He felt like he wasn't good enough. He even said the person he liked had never once returned his feelings. At first, Joni thought he was talking about Helen, but Tantan quickly clarified, nope. The person he liked was someone he believed would never like him back. It felt way too far-fetched for them to ever be together. Joni just stayed quiet for a moment, then gave a small smile. She said maybe that person actually did feel the same way. But they might just be living in two different worlds. And from the way Joni said it, it felt like she totally knew who Tantan was talking about. The next morning, Tantan was busy messing with his bike chain out front. He just so happened to be facing Joni's house. But his behavior was kinda weird. Every few seconds, he kept glancing over at the house next door. It was obvious. He was totally waiting for Joni to come outside. Not long after, his mom showed up. She saw how focused he was on the bike. But she wasn't blind. She could tell her son was starting to care a bit more about Joni. But she didn't get mad. No yelling, no strict rules. She just reminded Tantan of one thing. He had to know his limits. She understood they didn't come from the same world, different backgrounds, different lives. But that didn't mean he should ever look down on someone. Hearing that made Tantan feel proud. His mom wasn't the judgmental type. She never judged people based on their status or job. What she cared about was their humanity. She wanted him to understand others, not just judge them. The next night, things heated up. Tejo's mom came to Joni's house, full of rage. She accused Joni of corrupting her innocent son and even said Joni gave him a disease. Her words were cruel and full of blame, like Joni was the only one at fault. Joni stayed calm, even though it was clear she was trying hard to hold it in. She told her that Tejo wasn't her client, and if she really wanted to know the truth, she should go ask Helen directly. As soon as she said that, Helen, who happened to be nearby, was shocked and quickly ran off. That same night, Joni started packing her stuff. Tantan noticed something was off, so he asked her straight up why she was leaving. And that's when they had a real heart-to-heart conversation. Tantan asked if Joni had ever thought about quitting the job she'd been doing all this time. Joni paused for a moment, then answered honestly. She said this wasn't the life she wanted in the first place, but she had to survive. She needed money. She needed a place to live. Her one dream was simple, to have her own house, a place that was truly hers, where she didn't have to depend on anyone. After hearing her explanation, Tantan looked really sad. He wasn't ready to say goodbye. In a soft voice, he tried to convince Joni not to leave. He told her he'd protect her, that he'd stand by her and guard her from all the messed up guys who treated her badly. But Joni just gave a faint smile. She said her life wasn't that simple. She'd already made up her mind to leave, and this time, she really wanted to start from scratch. Before leaving for good, Joni asked Tantan to do one last thing with her. She turned on an old dusty cassette player and started dancing slowly. Her movements were gentle, calm, and full of emotion. Eventually, they got swept up in the moment. And as any viewer might have guessed, their night ended in an embrace that was more than just a dance. The next morning, Tantan woke up and realized Joni was gone. Panicking, he rushed outside and ran straight to the bus terminal. He searched everywhere, almost gave up, until finally he saw her. Out of breath, Tantan told her he didn't want to say goodbye. He wanted to go with her, no matter where she was headed. But Joni looked at him with a deep, meaningful gaze. She said they were like a bird and a fish. They could love each other, they could care about each other, but they couldn't live in the same world. Joni believed Tantan had a much brighter future ahead, a future that shouldn't be sacrificed for someone like her. She asked him to focus on school, get a good job, and one day marry the right girl. After saying that, Joni stepped onto the bus. Tantan could only stand there, frozen, watching her leave, tears in his eyes. Back to the present. It had been years since they last saw each other. This time, Joni shared that her dream house in Manila was finally finished. She also had a small business now, just enough to live a much better life than before. Her expression was totally different, happier, more alive, like all the pain and tears from the past had been buried deep. Her voice was light, full of optimism. Suddenly, a woman walked over. Tantan immediately stood up and introduced her to Joni. She was his wife. The woman looked surprised but stayed polite. Meanwhile, Joni gave a warm smile and greeted her calmly, even though something inside her felt different. After a bit of small talk, Joni said goodbye, but just before she really left, Tantan followed her and gave her one last hug. It wasn't long, but it meant everything. A hug that, deep down, they both knew was their real goodbye, one that would never happen again. After that farewell, Joni got a phone call. Her voice turned soft, full of warmth and genuine affection. On the other end, you could hear a cheerful child calling for her. Joni answered with a smile on her face, though her eyes were glossy with tears. She called the child by a name that felt all too familiar. Tantan. Yes, that name. The name she had quietly kept in her heart all these years. A name that held a special place in her life. Maybe, by giving that name to her child, Joni wanted to keep remembering someone from her past. Someone who once came into her life, touched her heart, but could never truly be hers. Even though they couldn't be together, her feelings for Tantan never really went away. In silence, Joni kept that memory alive through one meaningful name,